pretty comfortable. I did legs yesterday and I could barely move my legs. So, all right. All right, you ready?
I am ready.
This couch is pretty comfortable.
It's actually pretty, that's my hair. It's pretty nice.
Yeah, they're getting rid of it. They're ordering a bunch of new stuff.
So I'll take it. Deliver it to my house.
Yeah, okay. So, I don't know about you, but I'm running into a lot of agents that are kind of feeling it right now.
Oh, yeah.
How difficult it is, right? And why don't you kind of share about what you're running into personally?
Well, I'm running into an unusually active market, but I'm also running into more challenges. And I think what you're saying is so true. I think agents are starting to get nervous and either panic and pull back,
Yeah.
or they're not understanding how to really control what's happening with their business. So it's definitely a unique time. What I'm seeing is we're still like in a multiple offer situation, things like that. And I think it's really beating up agents and buyers. And so I think it's going to be an interesting year that buyers and agents are going to have to really, really hold tight for.
And I know we mentioned this when we talked about it yesterday. How do you respond to that adversity and that challenge of stuff not going your way, stuff falling apart, stuff like that? So you personally, how do you respond to that?
I think for me, I've learned this. It was not something that I possessed, a long time ago, but I have definitely learned that not every deal is, the end all.
Yeah.
And I have a tendency to get wrapped up in my deals, but I've had to really separate that and say, this is one instance. So I can't predict my entire year or my entire career based on this one incident that might not be going very well.
Yeah.
And being able to, give myself a break, so to speak, to say, okay, let this one happen, but you've got to keep moving forward. Not stopping yourself just because something's not going the way that you hoped it would go.
Oh, yeah. And well, for me, I told you, I get frustrated as everybody does, right? But then that just kind of fuels me to do more.
Yeah.
And I confront it like it's like a challenge to me. So it's like, okay, well, adversity, whatever's going on, you're not going to beat me. So it's like, all right, game on. Then you just got to kick in, you got to respond. And a lot of people just kind of move away from that,
Right.
as opposed to confronting it. So how do you respond to challenge and stuff going wrong all the time?
Well, you know what? I think if this is a personality trait of mine is I am super competitive. Mm-hmm. So for me, it's very similar. I'm like, okay, no, I'm going to win.
Yeah.
I'm going to win.
Yeah.
Even if it's just a little victory, I'm going to win. But I think when we're talking about real estate or business in general, it's so easy for people to want to quit.
It's the easy option.
I know. And I guess I look at it like if I quit, I didn't just lose that deal or that now I feel like I kind of lost a little bit of me.
Yeah.
Because I usually fight to the end. Mm-hmm. So I think it's going to, it comes down to really pushing yourself out of that comfort zone. And I love that challenge. It's not easy at the time, but when you come out of the other side of it, it's pretty cool.
Absolutely. Pull this down just to make sure that that's not blocking your face. There you go. And kind of just angle it up.
Uh-oh. We're going to have malfunction here.
I just want to make sure your face isn't covered. Okay. That should be fine. So, and I'll share you guys a good story that we talked about on Monday when I first got into the business. So when I first got into the business, I was 19 years old, no sales experience, no nothing. And I was on a team. And so my job was to generate leads through for sale by owners, expireds, withdrawals, 12 hours a day, 5 days a week, and then on Saturdays as well. And so I get in the office, it's just me and this other guy, right? And I'm making calls, and I'm just getting my teeth kicked in over and over and over again. And this other agent heard me because we were in cubicles right next to each other. And he's like, hey, man, come here, let's go talk for a second. I'm like, okay. So we were in downtown Birmingham, and there was a little alleyway behind our office. And so he's like, is that how you talk to girls? Because he could hear me talking to Fizzles on the phone. And I was being very, just not assertive, not confident. Right. I'm like, no, it's not how I talk to girls. And he's like, you need to approach a FSBO like you do a girl. You need to be calm, right, cool, confident, and go into it with the end in mind, which is you want to set the appointment, right?
Right.
No joke, the next call I made, I set an appointment.
That's amazing.
So that's that little mindset shift. and the agent is Poshko. So if you're out there, Pock, I couldn't appreciate that more. You probably don't even remember it, but it meant a huge deal to me, and that really kickstarted my whole real estate career.
Yeah, it is mindset though. For some of the people that I talk to, they can't get over that hump, right? They can't figure out like how do I get to the next level, or how do I build my confidence up? And it is a mindset shift. And I had that same problem.
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do it, and I didn't understand how to do it. And it really comes down to when you start to put the work in and you know that you're giving everything you've got, your confidence automatically starts to build.
Yep.
And once that confidence starts to build, then your mindset shift happens. And that's where, especially in this time that we're going through right now, that's going to be the key factor.
There's no substitute for it. Like, everyone wants to try and find a way around doing that. And it's like, you can't. There's no way around it. You have to put in the work. You have to experience the failure. You have to go through the uncomfortable moments to get through the other side, because I'm sure a lot of people look at your business and think, wow, oh my God, she's so lucky. She's doing $20 million a year. She's got the life made, making $500,000 a year. It's like, they don't see all the stuff in between though, and all the things and all the steps and all the work that you had to get there.
Right. Well, it's interesting because I think when we were talking last week, I had brought this up. So for me, I don't love to double dip deals.
Yeah.
And it's a personal thing because I struggle with that pull of, I've got this client here and this client here, but I'm really representing them both. And unfortunately, have had a few of those situations that haven't gone very well. And I felt like it was, really not building my trust with my clients, and it was a challenge for me. And so I kind of made the decision in my own head that even if I would have both parties, I would really just represent my sellers. Would probably be, that's who I would represent. And I made that decision because it did not make me feel confident doing it that way. My confidence went down when I had both sides. I didn't feel comfortable with it. And so I do think it's, yes, I would love, that would be great to double dip every deal. But I feel like I had to go with what made me feel most confident. So it's a personal thing for everybody. Everybody's going to have their strengths. Everybody's going to have their weaknesses. And if you don't play into those and really, really go towards those directions, it's just going to beat you down. Like you have to figure out what your thing is and go with it. So,
and just continuously, first of all, that requires a lot of self-reflection too, because if you don't know what your thing is, if you don't know what your strengths are, then you continually lose, right?
Yeah.
And it's so defeating because a lot of people, they focus on like, okay, the end result, I want to make X amount of dollars per year. I want to do X amount per volume, whatever it is. And if they just focus on that and then the end of the year, they don't get it, they feel like a failure. And then that continues to compound. And of course, you're just making it 10 times harder for you to do something that's already difficult as it is, as opposed to focusing on, okay, I want to make X amount. So what do I have to do monthly, weekly, daily, and do it consistently and focus on those things, then the end result will appear.
Yeah, and the daily is key. In fact, I did somebody's business plan yesterday or the other day. And as I was going through it, the big picture, you're like, oh, it's a little overwhelming, right?
Yeah.
And then you start to break it down. And once I broke it down to the daily and even the weekly level, she was like, oh, well, that's not bad.
It's reasonable, right?
It's reasonable.
Yep.
But you have to put that work in every day, because if you don't, then you got to add that to the next day and then add it to the next day. So just doing those steps every day, the little chunks that then build into the bigger and then into the final, that's where your focus should be, is just the daily, and everything else will work itself out if you're hitting those goals. So
yeah, but that's it. You can't just do it kind of as like a hobby,
right?
It's got to be day in and day out and consistency. And that's what I've been hitting on a lot, because there's some agents, I have agents right now, they're crushing it.
Yep.
Like they're absolutely crushing it. They're having career year quarters right now. Right. But that's because they've showed up and worked November, December, and January. Right. So we're in March, April, May, which is why if you didn't do anything November, December, January, or even September, that's why you don't have anything now.
Right. Yeah, and I will tell you what we were talking about originally. Our original startup of this was that people are starting to fall off.
Yeah.
This is going to be that market where the strong will survive. And by strong, I mean the ones that are willing to put the work in. And if you're willing to put the work in, even if it's a grind and you're not seeing results right now, if you keep putting that work in, you will see those results. But you have to, I mean, it is because those people that have kind of been able to sit back a little bit and let stuff come to them, which, you know, we all dream of that.
Of course.
But those people are the ones that aren't going to be able to generate their own business and are not going to be able to stay above the pile.
No, and I think that's a lot of the shock factor too, that people are realizing that the things that I used to do, or not have to do, I should say, things I didn't have to do, I now have to do.
Right. And they don't know how to do them.
And they don't know how to do them because they weren't doing it.
Right.
Right?
Right.
So how would you say, obviously we have coaching, but like if you're outside of the coaching program and you're an agent who's struggling right now, what's the best way to break the habit of not doing the things that you know you got to do?
So the first thing for me is to block it in my calendar.
Okay.
Whatever that thing is. If it's, I mean, I say calls because that's the go-to, but whatever that thing is that you haven't been doing, block it in your calendar. I'm the type of person that I like to put the ugliest thing first because then everything else is a little prettier for the rest of the day. If I know that I got to get this thing done, I don't want to do it, just get that thing done first. So put that first in your calendar, make that your big thing. And then everything else is a little bit easier throughout the day or the week or, you know, however you break it up. But if you don't plan for it, you won't do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
Absolutely. And this is a real testament to, you know, your mental toughness and your mental resiliency, because again, you didn't really have to have a strong mental mindset. How many times were people talking about building your mindset over the past couple of years? Because you really didn't need to.
No, you didn't.
Right? The market was really taking care of itself, but now with everything that's going on, it's not only a it's a necessity. Like, it's not just an option. It's like you got to keep working on it because so much of this business is psychological and mental. And that seems to be the muscle that most people forget about or don't take care of because they're so worried about everything else.
Yeah. I had a conversation with someone just a little while ago that was talking about how things feel kind of chaotic for her right now.
Yep.
She can't figure out how to fit it all in, but she also said she's not as busy as she'd like to be. So she's busy, but it's with busy work.
Yep.
So she is one that is really going to need to focus on that time, you know, the time management part of it, because you can be busy with busy work. You're going to have people running you all over the place.
Of
That's,
course.
you know, buyers, even sellers, you know, they're going to run you all over for free. So you need to prioritize how your business is going to run. And that is probably going to be a key factor for a lot of people that fall off, because even if they're busy,
Yeah.
they're not making any money.
No, it feels good to be busy,
Yeah.
right? Doing busy work, but ultimately how much of the activity you're doing is actually leading to income.
Right. So,
And one of the best ways to help you get out of that chaos is to, one, recognize you're in chaos, right? And then two, confront it and take control and say, okay, what are the things that I have to do to get myself out of the situation I'm in? And one of the biggest things you brought up is scheduling. Put it on paper, make it real, right? You have to put it out there and commit to it. Otherwise, it ain't going to happen.
yep, I agree. And the same thing with your goals. And again, goals don't mean just like, I love that you said that, by the way. I have never focused on the money because that is not for me like
not
the
your motivator.
energy. Yeah, that doesn't give me the energy that I need. I love success. I love that my clients love me. I love when I get a great review online. I love that stuff because then I know that I've done my job right.
Yep.
The money comes. That's secondary. So find what that thing is, and the same thing, write it down. Because if you focus on that whole year and the money at the end of it and you don't hit it, you feel completely defeated. So you have to find what the real reason that you are, what made you come into real estate? What made you say, this is the job I want to do? And whatever that is, you've got to put that in front of you as well. So your time management, and also your goals and what those things are, and really focus on more of a short term than a long term.
Absolutely. Because again, if we're just looking at long term, any minor setback we get is viewed as a failure.
Yep.
Because again, we're not getting closer to the long term, but you got to look at it in the short term aspects, right? So if you're not scheduled, okay, I'm not going to try and eat the whole thing. Let me just work on my morning schedule.
Right.
Let me get my morning schedule down. After I get my morning schedule down, let me move to the afternoon. After I get the afternoon down, move to the evening. And before you know it, you've built an entire schedule. Or if you're afraid of calling your sphere, all right, start with a couple sphere calls a day.
Yep.
Right? Then do it again the next day and then build upon it. and then that's where momentum comes from, right?
Yep.
And so the other thing, we've been hitting, obviously conversations. You got to do follow up. And I just had an agent had the harsh realization, which I did as well, of what can happen if we don't follow up enough.
Oh, okay.
Because if we're not following up with our agents, you better believe somebody else is.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Especially with for sale by owners. So if you're working for sale by owners, even sphere of influence now, because now it's okay, I'm not just going to go with my friend. I need to go with someone who I feel confident in getting what it is that I need.
Yeah.
Because that's what the market demands, right? So if you're not following up with your people, if you're not following up with your SOI, FSBOs, expires, whatever it is, somebody else is. And I think a lot of agents underestimate the amount of effort it takes to follow up just to convert one lead.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so critical. I mean, I think about how many times I've had to follow up on a lead, and I've had the same thing happen where then I call and they, well, I just signed, and I'm
Yep, I listed with somebody else.
well, wait a minute. I've been talking to you, but I didn't do it consistently, and I didn't provide my value, obviously, the proper way for them to see that I was the person for the job. So, yeah, the follow up is you guys all know this. We've talked about it, but the follow up is so important.
So if you want a harsh reality check, go through all your leads and then look to see how many are listed.
Yeah.
That's what I
That's a
did.
tough
and
one.
I saw a couple $1 million lost in business.
That's a tough one.
So we're already approaching almost 15, 20 minutes.
Okay.
Any closing thoughts?
I would just say that in this year, I would strongly suggest that if you're going to survive, and not only survive, but flourish in this business, you really need to make sure that you are taking serious action, and it has to be things that are going to be income producing for you. So don't do the busy work. The busy work will be there, but find things that you can do to take action now and continue to do those things throughout your entire year, because this year, as we go through it, you're going to see that people are starting to fall off, and that business is going to be coming your way. So you have to build those habits right now.
Action, 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 action. Action trumps everything, right? Any
Yep.
problem you have can be resolved through taking action through real estate. And I agree 100%. So, yes, take action, be disciplined, be consistent, right? And then watch the business flourish. And there's you have plenty of resources, right?
Sure.
The one thing I would definitely add that all of you can do that's free, everyone can do it because you got a phone, start a YouTube channel.
Oh, yeah.
Start a YouTube channel, start posting content, get over the ego, right? And just start putting stuff out there, because if you're afraid to call your SOI, then you need to be doing social media with something. You
Yeah.
got to be posting video. Otherwise, you ain't going to hear from them, and they're going to take their business somewhere else. So start posting content. And it doesn't have to be this big, long, drawn-out video.
Right.
10, 15, 20 seconds, start posting to your stories. Do something to get people, remind them of who you are and what you're doing, and you're out there doing business.
Right. And it doesn't all have to be real estate related either.
Nope.
They want to know you as a person. They want to, and you're going to build your sphere from that too, because you're going to engage other people who are into things that you're into as well. So the posting is so important because it just makes you relevant to what we do now. This is what this is where we're at.
Yep.
So
As you can tell, we're doing video.
yeah, right. We're doing video. So
Watch our videos. There's plenty of stuff up there, plenty of content ideas. Take stuff from that and do your own video, and keep in mind who your audience is, and always provide value. So this is the next episode of Coach's Corner. We'll continue to revamp it, and wish you guys luck. Take some action, and we'll plan on talking to you guys again next week,
thank you.
or next month, I should say.
Next month.
Yeah. All right. See you guys.
Bye.